restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes.
Zuckerberg announces Meta is going to get rid of all the fact checkers, some other exciting announcements, and the question is, did he become principled, or is he still a spineless coward? I'll tell you what I think. Welcome back to the JP Reacts channel, my beautiful freedom-loving friend. This is where we call out lies, hypocrisy, and corruption, and highlight the amazing work of other freedom fighters, because truth conquers. But you can't conquer anything unless you're strong. Luckily, here to help us get stronger is Ancestral supplements, grass-fed beef liver. It makes your metabolism fast, energy high, cravings for crap low. There's a reason why beef liver is nature's multivitamin. It's time to get stronger. Grab your grass-fed beef liver at ancestralsupplements.com/JPReacts. And for 15% off, please use the American discount code JPReacts. Let's get into it. Zuckerberg's a good guy. He's doing good moves. He's getting rid of censorship, allegedly. Getting rid of fact checkers. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. He's moving their content moderation from California to Texas. He's a good guy because he's doing good things, right? Well, you be the judge of that. And I'll tell you how I'm judging it. But first, here's the brevity of the facts. Now, you can look at Zuckerberg's, it's a 5-minute video of him emotionlessly reading off a teleprompter where it takes a long time to tell you these 6 simple modifications that have just been announced. And giving credit where credit is due, these 6 modifications that Meta is going to be doing, they're really big compared to what they had been, just a censorship wing, violating the First Amendment, left, right, and center. Yes, Biden administration, of course, will do that. We will deplatform Trump. We're going to censor people like, well, JP Sears and maybe even you. So, on paper, these are great changes, and living in a world where they're actually implemented, I will be happy about it. The question about him as a person still begs to be asked. Is he getting principled, or is he still a spineless coward? We'll get to that in a minute, but first, here's the breaking news that you probably already heard. As summarized by Colin Rugg on Twitter, here is what will be changing at Meta. Number 1, Meta will be dumping their fact checkers and will replace them with community notes. Just like Twitter does, it's more the people having a voice on like, that's accurate, that's not accurate. I like it. It adds conversation, it adds debate. It's not this condescending garbage. By the way, one thing Zuckerberg has never owned is their independent fact checkers were never in fact independent. Facebook funded it the whole time. They framed it as third-party fact checking. I've done plenty of clicking through the policies. Takes you to 8 different websites and you find out Facebook funds these people, as does Google and TikTok. Number 2, change at Meta. Simplifying content policies to encourage more debate on issues like immigration and gender. Simplified content policies means they're not going to be censoring immigration and truthful speak on gender. Number 3, Meta will change how they enforce policies to reduce censorship, will focus on people breaking the law instead. What a revolutionary idea! You mean, like, make it illegal to do illegal things when crimes are found, not thought crimes, but actual crimes are being facilitated on social media? Censoring that instead of censoring opinions? Okay, about time. Number 4, Meta will start recommending political content again. In other words, not censoring political content from you, not having their algorithms do a shadow ban. I mean, shout out to Mark Zuckerberg. Back in July, when Kamala was announced as the Democratic nominee who was nominated through a very democratic election process by way of not receiving any votes to be a nominee, your guy here, he put out a video making fun of Kamala. It's my job. And right away, I went to a massive shadow ban on Instagram where I was getting 1/20th of the average reach that I had been getting. I've been shadow banned on Instagram so many times I can't even count. And it's been 4 years since I've put videos out on Facebook because of so many community guideline violations for doing exactly this, that they threatened to take down my over 3 million person Facebook page. So I was like, all right, well, I'm just not going to post content here. So, well. Number 5, the trust and safety team will be moving from California to Texas to promote free expression. And I think this is just an optical look. People know what California stands for, and they'll tech people with autism that they hire to be their trust safety team, we know where they are politically. So I think this is just an optical move. Like, hey, we're in Texas where they do freedom. We're not in California where they do communism and therefore implement communism on our social media platforms. Number 6, Zuckerberg says he will be working with Trump to push back on governments around the world, including Europe. Fair enough. I think it's worth noting Elon Musk's comment on the announcement that Facebook is dumping fact checkers in favor of using community notes like Twitter does. Elon says, this is cool. Yeah, and I think it's a legit copycat move on what Elon has done so successfully, and I think it's a move that should be copied. I think Elon set an example of how to have people's voices amplified to be able to call out anything, whether it's truthful or just lies, but that comes from the people with community notes, not fact checkers that are funded by the exact organization that's doing the fact checking. We'll get back to the video in just a second, but first, here's a fact for you. Health insurance sucks. You pay anywhere from a bunch of money each month to an enormous amount of money each month. And then if you get sick or injured, you hope that they actually pay your bills like they're supposed to. And it's not only a fight to get that to happen, but also sometimes it just doesn't happen. And the corruption of this model enrages me. It's like going to the grocery store, buying a bunch of food, and then hoping that the store lets you eat some of the food that you paid for. This is an outdated, corrupt model of sick care. It's not health care. It's sick care that is healthy for the insurance industry. But luckily now there is Crowd Health, which allows you to get the care that you need for a low monthly fee while escaping the expensive sick care of the insurance industry. Here's how it works. You join, pay a low monthly fee to be a member of Crowd Health. Then when you go to the doctor, you ask for a cash price and pay the bill. Then you submit your bill to Crowd Health, which is easy. You just take a picture on an app on your phone. Then your bill is paid smoothly and quickly through your Crowd Health membership. If you no longer want to pay for expensive insurance every single month that is based on a very sick and disgusting population, then go to joincrowdhealth.com/JPReacts. This is truly an inexpensive healthcare model designed for the benefit of we the people, not the benefit of the insurance industry. Become a Crowd Health member today by going to joincrowdhealth.com/JPReacts. See you there. In the meantime, back to the video. Now, before I get to my judgment of Zuckerberg, the little fella who's grown his hair long, I found this exciting. Just announced Dana White, CEO of the UFC and a very based dude, huge Trump supporter. He is now going to be on the board of directors of Meta. I like that because at face value, Dana White, he is incredibly free speech, or he's just incredibly America, constitutionally oriented. The UFC was the only major sports organization that did not shut down during COVID. He's been a longtime champion of free speech when his fighters say things, even if they're bad for the business of UFC. Dana White will ridicule reporters who suggest that he should somehow contain his fighters and not let them speak freely. He pushes back massively. He ridicules those reporters, saying this is America. They can say what they want. So him being on the board of directors at Meta, will that prove to move the needle in the direction of America and the First Amendment? That remains to be seen. But I think in theory, there's far more potential for that to happen with a guy like Dana White on the board of directors. Now, in a second, we'll get to what President Trump just said as of today at a news conference when he was asked about what Zuckerberg just announced with these big changes. But first, keep in mind, Zuckerberg was one of the social media big tech executives that literally banned President Trump off their platforms. Back in January of 2021, Trump was simultaneously banned off of Zuckerberg's Facebook and Instagram, along with other social media platforms. But those were the ones under Zuckerberg's control. And now Zuckerberg wakes up in a reality where President Trump has been elected, yet to be inaugurated, but that's to come. And now the man that Zuckerberg deplatformed is sitting above Zuckerberg. Don't forget that. As we get to what President Trump says in just a second, let's not forget this. Laura Loomer on Twitter says it very plainly. Do you remember when the Judiciary GOP published the letter Mark Zuckerberg sent them in which he admitted that Facebook worked with the Biden-Harris administration to censor Americans at the request of the Biden administration? Let's not forget that Zuckerberg was just a spineless puppet taking orders from the tyrannical Biden administration. Don't forget that, because as the great demented Jen Psaki would say, we're going to circle back to that in just a minute. And it's also important to remember that back in November, after Trump is elected, Zuckerberg asked to meet with Trump. At the time, Stephen Miller confirms Mark Zuckerberg met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Mark Zuckerberg had been very clear about his desire to be a supporter of and participate in this change that we're seeing. He wants to be a supporter of Trump. Well, he banned Trump off Facebook. I don't think he does want to be a supporter, but nonetheless, Mark Zuckerberg right away requested a dinner with President Trump. Now, cut to a news conference with President Trump where a reporter is asking him, hey, these announcements that Mark Zuckerberg has made on changes to Meta, do you think that's just due to threats that you made against him? What President Trump says is astonishing. It's a mic drop moment. Let's check it out.
Say it.
Do you think he's directly responding to the threats that you have made to him in the past?
Probably. Yeah, probably.
Probably. Do you think Zuckerberg is doing these changes just out of response to threats you've made against him in the past? Probably. Yeah, probably. I agree. Probably. Now, let's bring all this together. You know how Zuckerberg was just a spineless puppet doing what the Biden administration wanted him to do? Censor all the Americans who are pro-freedom and anti-communism. Censor them all. J.P. Sears is in there. Censor them all. And now President Trump is saying, don't censor anyone. Do you think Zuckerberg is still being a spineless puppet, now just doing what the other guy is telling him to do? My answer is yes. I think he is exactly being a spineless puppet. Now, granted, him being a spineless puppet here, what Trump wants to do, which is just much more aligned with the Constitution, I'm in favor of those changes because they become more America constitutionally aligned, not pro-censorship, pro-communism, anti-everything that America stands for. So he's being a spineless puppet, yes. But the changes that Trump is asking him to do, threatening him to do, perhaps, are in line with the Constitution. The changes that Biden was telling him to do were absolutely in the other direction. While I'm in favor of all these changes that Zuckerberg announced, the question is he becoming more principled, or is he still being a spineless coward? Based on what I see, my answer would be, I think he is still being a spineless coward. Don't get me wrong, I'm in favor of the changes. But as far as Zuckerberg as a person, is he becoming more like an Elon? Is he getting base? Is he being conservative? I have seen zero evidence of that. If you just look at the surface, you might be fooled into thinking that. But I think the guy is so unprincipled. I have no evidence he's becoming more principled. Here's how unprincipled I think Zuckerberg is. What Biden administration was telling him to do, cover up the laptop story, censor all this stuff, deplatform Trump, we need you to do that. I don't think Zuckerberg was even principled in that. I could respect a guy who's censoring out of his principles. Let's just imagine like his grandfather was a communist who was killed by an American. So he is just somehow really principled in communism, anti-American values. Though I don't agree with it, what I can respect is that's his principle. He's just being principled relative to his principles. I wouldn't agree with it, but I'd have respect for that. I think Zuckerberg is so unprincipled. One side says, do this. He says, okay, I will do that. I'm a spineless coward. Now the other side, Trump, is saying, do this. Then he's such an unprincipled, spineless coward that he says, okay, yep, I will do that. So in my opinion, please don't be fooled by Mark Zuckerberg. Is he becoming based like Elon became a year or 2 years ago? Is he becoming one of us? Absolutely not. I think we are just seeing the current iteration of what he's trying to do. One, stay out of trouble, and two, become what he needs to in order for the best business of Meta. He's got a different administration. He's going to have an easier time in business being unprincipled, in this case, and just doing what the administration wants him to do. Granted, I think that's a great favorable direction. But him as a person, cool, I see you at the UFC, Mark. I see your little necklace on. I see your, you're kind of dressing like you're not a complete dork, even though you still are. You're growing your hair out. You do jujitsu. Well, you're a 10th degree black belt tyrant, Mark. I see you as unprincipled, still a spineless coward, someone who has earned no trust and deserves not to be trusted. So with that said, I'm in favor of these changes. Make no mistake, I don't think these changes came from you or your principles. With that said, let me know what you think about Zuckerberg as a person in the comments below. I'll look forward to seeing that. Is he actually based? Is he becoming principled? Or do you see him as a spineless coward? I'd love to hear what you think. And I'll look forward to seeing you in our next video. But until then, stay principled.